Justice and Correctional Services Minister Ronald Lamola joins me now. And thank you so much, Minister, for your time. Let's begin with that very question. Where are we with the process?
Yeah, thank you very much, and to the viewers. The process is when the NPA is compiling the extradition request. In terms of the extradition treaty between South Africa and the UAE, we have got 60 days within which to submit the request. And I'm aware that they are endeavoring to do it as early as is practically possible. And obviously we'll then send that request to the authorities in the UAE. Then a court process will kickstart in the UAE to determine whether indeed they are extraditable to South Africa or not, which then the Minister of Justice in the UAE, upon receipt of a decision from a court, will then decide whether he or she brings them to South Africa or not.
There's been concerns about, of course, how long the process may just take, because it may not be as easy as, some people think it is. Are you envisioning a long, drawn-out process? Because I'm sure they are going to try and fight it. Yeah,
extradition by its very nature can be a protracted legal process, as you are aware with the one of Mr. Gama, well known as Prophet Bushiri. It's already in the legal process. It's back now in the magistrate court for another hearing. So it can be a protracted process. But even in our country, we attend to extradition matters from time to time. They go through the same process, magistrate, and then it comes to me to then decide to take the person to whichever country that is requesting, or the requesting country. So it can be, but it's a process that we want to say to South Africans, we have to wait for it, for due process, for this to be fair to all parties involved. And we do believe that at the end of the day, they will definitely come back to face trial and account in our courts. How confident are you, though, that they will come back? Because last week, for example, we heard the Minister and the Presidency, Mondli Kungubele, saying just in a post-cabinet briefing that they may not. He's not sure. There are no guarantees that this might happen. No, they will definitely come back because we are going to follow all the legal processes and ensure that we are in compliance with the extradition treaty between South Africa and the UAE, and ensure that all the necessary papers are in place. And we do believe that following all that process as the central authority in South Africa and the central authority in the UAE, we will be able to show that indeed they have got a case to answer in our courts. And our courts, including our constitution, guarantees a fair trial, guarantees that all accused are treated fairly. And with the mutual cooperation that we have received from our counterparts in the UAE, we do believe that the countries have got very good relations, and they are really helping us with the whole process. So you are definitely reaping the rewards of that ratification of the treaty? Yes, indeed. We are going to follow and ensure that we comply with the treaty, and we ensure that we are in compliance with the law. And as I've said, our courts guarantee a fair trial to anyone, South Africans, non-South Africans, any accused person is guaranteed a fair trial in our courts. And that also gives us an edge as we engage with our counterparts in the UAE, who have been cooperative, who have given us a note verbal confirming the arrest, and they have assured us of all that the process, they will allow the process to unfold in line with their law in their country. You spoke about the 60 days, and I was even reading over the weekend in one article they talk about, this warrant that we now need to issue in South Africa, which is a provisional warrant of arrest, and the suggestions in those articles that that warrant is already in Dubai as we speak. Can you confirm that? Yes, it is given to the relevant authorities that the step has been complied with. What the step that we need to now comply with is the submission of the extradition request, and I'm aware that the National Prosecuting Authority, they are working day and night to ensure that they deliver it within very reasonable time and ensure that it is in compliance with the extradition treaty and all the international obligations from us as a requesting country to the country of the UAE.
There's also talk that, this team is being led by, extradition law expert, advocate Anton Katz. Can you confirm that, and what else can you tell us about this team that is leading this fight for South Africa?
Yeah, obviously the team is led by the NPA itself and the Department of Justice Central Authority. They are officials who have got very intricate knowledge and experience of the extradition process from the Department of Justice and from the NPA, who have been involved in this matter from the beginning, mutual legal requests, and including the negotiations of the treaty, and they have got expertise. But as you are aware, as the matter goes to court and through litigation processes, you also need a second opinion from outside counsel, and which is what the NPA have now done to brief outside counsel, which include three also women, black women in particular, who are going to work with the advocate you have just mentioned, Anton Katz, SC. And we do believe that they have been able to assemble a team as the NPA that will be able to mount a challenge and be able to respond to whatever issues that will arise from in South African courts or in the courts in the UAE, working with the authorities of the UAE.
Talking about the issues that may arise from the courts in the UAE, how prepared are you as the Justice Department, and of course this inclusive of the NPA, should they refuse, because they do have that provision to refuse to send them back if they view the case as a political witch hunt, or if they are not going to be treated fairly? And if that argument does come up, how prepared is this team and your department to be able to argue against this?
Yeah, obviously, the department as the central authority, we are indeed convinced that there is no witch hunt, and we are convinced that the papers and documents coming through from the NPA are informed by the NPA Act and our own Criminal Procedure Act and all the laws governing issues that relates to the criminal conduct that is being alleged in this matter. So there is no politics involved. It's a matter of the law, and it's a matter of evidence. And there is no basis for any politics. So that law must be complied with, and the matters, so they must come and account in our courts. And as you are aware, there's also the commissions of inquiry into state capture, which has also come up with its own recommendations and findings. So the NPA cannot ignore such matters, nor is us as the department. We cannot ignore what has been investigated and been found that there is an answerable matter in the case. And I do believe that our courts, as I've said, guarantees a fair trial for anyone. So if they have any argument, let them come in our courts, argue it, and I do believe they will be given a fair hearing. What we have to ensure is that there must be accountability, and it must be through the judicial processes. And as I've said, our constitution guarantees a fair trial to anyone.
While there's talk of accountability on the one hand, I'm sure you're feeling the pressure, because there's also that much pressure on your department as well as the NPA to get this one right.
Yeah, obviously, we have to ensure that the law is complied with, and ensure that there is accountability for all matters that have been brought in front of the NPA, the evidence before them. And as a department, we've got a legal duty to help them as the central authority to ensure, because extradition matters have got some kind of a relay effect, where the NPA have to then yield to the role of the central authority, which is the Department of Justice. And even in many countries across the globe, it's like that, including in the UAE, then the Department of Justice will play its role. But the courts also still have an important role, because as you submit the request, the court still needs to say whether there is a case, and whether the parties are extraditable or not, which is a finding of fact and law, which I do believe that with the papers that we have sent and the ones that will come for the extradition requests, it will be clear that indeed they are extraditable.
Now, Minister, if you may, please indulge me. Let's change gears slightly. I'd like us to go to reports that emerged this weekend. A very concerning IT tender. We saw those reports in the Office of the Chief Justice. At the face of it, a lot appears to have gone wrong there. We spoke to one organization yesterday that is already written to the Public Protector to investigate and also get the Office of the Chief Justice to set that IT contract aside. Would you agree that at the face of it, while investigations are pending, it is worrying that such reports are emerging?
Yeah, obviously we are worried because such matters have to follow due process of the PFMA and ensure that it's compliant, and it must ensure that everyone has gone through what in terms of the procurement processes, and there is the law is complied with. So we will allow the space for the Office of the Chief Justice to receive the legal opinion that the Director General of the department is looking into, and from there we'll take the advice of what should be the next step. But what I think is key for the public to understand is that the Office of the Chief Justice is it's a department on its own, and the accounting officer is the Secretary General, who is akin to a Director General. It's not the Chief Justice nor the judiciary. So I do think that the SG is looking into the matter, and she will definitely give us what is the way forward and how is the matter going to be attended to, because indeed it's a concern. It must be attended to, and the due compliance of the law must happen.
And I'm sure it must be of great concern for you, even more so, because this is an office that is seen to be exemplary and should be so at all times. And now, if you have to see officials that are resigning from the department and their last day is the 31st of the month, and then on the first day they are reporting to a partner, to a multinational that is now working with the very department, that for you as minister, I'm certain it should be concerning, because this is an office that everyone is watching closely.
Yeah, obviously it is, and I think we will have to allow the due process of that the Office of the Chief Justice has started, so that we give a fair account to the process that unfolded in the awarding of the tender. And I think the SG, when she has received the legal advice that she has sought, she will be able to take society into confidence what happened and what is the course of action that she will be taking.
If I can ask you to wear a different hat now and be a member of the African National Congress, I wonder, what do you make of the developments around the president and the burglary at his home?
Yeah, obviously the ANC has spoken, and the president himself has said that he's going to subject himself to the process of the Integrity Committee to go and explain an account on the events. And in the ANC, that is a process that is available to anyone where there are issues or allegations that have come into the public domain. And even in the public, he did say that he's going to give a due process and allow a fair process by the law enforcement authorities that are investigating the matter. So I think that we'll need to allow it to unfold, and a position can then be taken when we have clear reports on the matter.
Talking about due process, and of course listening to the president last week as he spoke about it, I'm keen though to hear from you, because the chairperson also spoke in our report last night saying that the president has some questions to answer to, like where the money came from and all of that, and these are some of the pressing questions that the chairperson Gwede says that he must answer. You share those sentiments?
Yeah, obviously the chairperson, when he speaks, as you are aware, he speaks on behalf of the ANC. And when there is due process, it means that there will be a process where you will be able to explain, or there will be processes that will find out where it comes from. And sitting here, we will not have that capacity to know where the money came from, who put it, how much was it, and all that. But I do believe that the process will at some stage give us a full picture and a good outcome as to where it came from, what happened, and after the incident happened, what was the issues that then unfolded. So all those should be allowed to be ventilated in that process of investigation.
While the process unfolds, do you think it's wise that there be another auction, as we understand, is going to take place this weekend? Is the president, in your view, not disregarding the feelings of South Africans?
No, I don't think that is my space to really comment.
But what do you make of it as an ANC member? Do you think he should be venturing into that space while you talk about the due process that you say needs to unfold?
Really, it's a commercial process that does not really have to involve us.
Let's talk about another issue that is also emanating in the public domain. I'm sure you've seen the developments around the Senzo Meyiwa trial. The NPA is coming under fire there. There's 2 dockets that have now emerged and have been put before the judge. And now even one of the advocates has asked for time to be able to go through docket 2, which there are some suggestions that the NPA may have been, had a hand in a cover-up here. What do you make of what you've seen emerging from the Senzo Meyiwa trial so far?
No, I won't comment on a running trial. The trial needs to be allowed to run its own course, have its own life. And when there is a judgment, we can be able to say what is our view. But at this stage, it will be prejudicial to the court process for me to comment about what is unfolding in court. I think whilst it's in court, we need to allow the judge to run the course and allow the court proceedings to unfold. Any form of comment will be an interference with the judicial process.
And a final question then, there's also been a lot of talk around the suspension of the public protector, and yesterday she said that she's prepared for this matter to go before the courts if need be, and she feels that she's been done an injustice as she's been suspended. But others are saying that the writing was always on the wall because she was, according to some, abusing court processes, while others are saying that she's being a victim of a law that is simply not representing the other side, as some are calling it. I wonder, what do you make of the developments around the public protector, if you're able to say anything?
Yeah, obviously the spokesperson of the president is the best person to speak. She was suspended by the president. The only thing from our side we can say is that we welcome the fact that the acting public protector, the deputy public protector, has assured society that the services will go without any hindrance to the processes of the public protector. And that is as far as the Department of Justice interest is concerned, that the work will not be hindered, there is continuity, and that the public will still have access to the office of the public protector. But with regard to the process, as you have said, the spokesperson of the president will be better placed.
Would you like, though, to also respond to some of her concerns, because the legal fraternity falls under you, and she fears that for the longest time, she says, she's not been given a fair chance to ventilate her case, and the law in South Africa is not really, as she says, working for her. Would you like to respond to that? Is that what you've observed as the minister when it comes to all these cases that we've seen? Because others don't agree, others agree, but what do you say? Because she does cast some aspersions to how the justice system has treated her.
Yeah, obviously she has been able to get her time in courts and dates, and her matters have been ventilated. She has litigated up until the highest court, so she has had an opportunity to engage on her issues, and the judges decided the matters in front of them based on the law and the facts and what they believed was the correct judgment.
Right, Minister, thank you so much for coming through to the program. We do appreciate it. That was Justice and Correctional Services Minister Ronald Lamola, of course, talking about, the extradition process, which a lot of people understand is going to take some time. But the minister is saying that it is important for South Africans to wait this one out because, as he says, he's confident that they will be back in South Africa to account.